I'm going to be talking to Kyle Reiling, who is the executive director of the Greenview Industrial Gateway in the municipal district of Greenview, which is just south of Grand Prairie in northwestern Alberta. They have an industrial park where they have now signed an agreement for the third project, billions of dollars investment promised for green projects tied to natural gas. So welcome to the interview, Kyle.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time today.
Can you give us now this is an MOU with Interprovincial Fuel Solutions Ltd. They're going to purchase about 200 acres in your industrial park to build a $600 million petrochemical future. What can you tell us about the project?
Yeah, super exciting for the region. So Interprovincial, they plan on taking a large quantity of natural gas and upgrading it right at the source. The Greenview Industrial Gateway is home to approximately 35.2 billion cubic meters of natural gas. So they want to capitalize on that feedstock and essentially produce around 5,600 barrels per day of ultra low carbon synthetic gasoline and hydrogen. What's really exciting about this, I think, is that taking that natural gas right at the source, incorporating carbon capture or carbon capture sequestration in that process really brings down your carbon intensity score. So on a typical gasoline, you're kind of talking in that carbon intensity score of that 90 to 100. In this development, you are right in the range of that 42 to 48. So essentially what it becomes is much more valuable and almost as a blending agent for the fuel, which is ultra, I would say, cool because the majority of that gasoline will be incorporated into the Grand Prairie region.
So it's going to be serving the local market. And if I understand you correctly, it will be blended with existing oil stocks, gasoline stocks to bring down the emissions intensity on a broader level. Now, I understand California does something very similar. They require the blending of high and low emissions crude oil at the refinery level. How does it work when it's already gasoline?
Well, they will need to set up their distribution agreements and how that is purchased within the overall system. The other interesting component of that is that with this production of this gasoline also becomes hydrogen. And it also introduces, hydrogen development within this into the Greenview Industrial Gateway. There's so many things going for this region in terms of resource development. In fact, there is also a very large geothermal opportunity as well that these companies are looking at, and not only are we seeing the development of natural gas, but we're also seeing inquiries on the development of biomass and biofuels because they do go hand in hand. We have a tremendous amount of forestry as well, so it's just exciting times, and this development I think is really changing the path for the Grand Prairie region.
Yeah, I'm really interested in the clean hydrogen aspect of this. So how will the hydrogen be created? Will it be steam methane reforming? Will it be pyrolysis? What will be the process? And what exactly will it be used for?
So it will be the steam methane reforming that produces it. At this moment in time, the hydrogen is so valuable to them that this isn't for public or commercial use. They will be incorporating it into their overall production facility to once again bring down that overall carbon intensity score. So yes.
Interesting. Has there been any discussion of when you're capturing the carbon, doing something other than burying it? And the reason I ask this question is because in Calgary, there's a research center funded by Alberta Innovates that's doing work on embedding CO2 into concrete, turning CO2 into cloth or vodka or soap, other consumable items. And it seems to me that the idea of using CO2 as a feedstock for advanced materials is catching on worldwide. And I just wondered if that had entered into the discussion with your MOU partner.
Absolutely, it has, and the advancement when it comes to this technology has been mind-boggling to look at that. We do continue to advance the CCS aspect and continue should it go down that path. But you are correct. What's really neat, IFS, they are producing a very, very pure stream of CO2. So it gets to your point that it does open up those possibilities with other companies. And that's what's great about the gig is that, you know, all like 3 years has been spent engineering and designing this. So as these companies do take up spot, the synergies are going to function between them. And it's exciting to see.
Now, you've got the other two agreements that we talked about. You have an MOU with a company called Cirolon GTL to build a $2.8 billion ultra-low sulfur diesel and jet fuel facility. You've got a 2021 agreement with Northern Petrochemical Corporation to build a $2.5 billion blue methanol and blue ammonia production facility. Can you give us an update on those projects?
Yeah, so both of those projects, they continue to advance through their engineering, design, and approvals. Neither of them have hit financial investment decisions. So as they progress, this is what is also very welcoming to this area is the plans of IFS is to get going almost as soon as possible. So construction with operation in the next 36 months. So this, you know, being that it is 600 regional jobs, being that it is an investment of 600 million, and this development is a very good test for the gig and that development to get this going, pre-establish some of the infrastructure, and then move it on kind of in coordination. You know, I was in the heartland looking after industrial development in 2008 when we were looking at, you know, how do you get 22,000 people into the heartland and how do you move ahead with 5 upgraded refineries? And none of them really moved ahead because we overheated that economy. So we want to be really cognizant of the fact for the Grand Prairie region and then kind of do this in a real coordinated fashion.
That's a very interesting approach. One of the things that my sources have told me over the last few years is that there is a lot of capital in Western Canada looking for energy transition projects, green energy projects. And, you know, some of these projects here are looking for final investment decisions. Are you finding that there's a ready pool of capital, which is always a limitation, right, in Western Canada? But is there enough capital on the sidelines waiting to jump into these kinds of projects that makes you optimistic?
Yes, there is. I mean, I think that it still is a gem, and there should be a lot more interest into the possibilities in the long-term development of this. But no, I do think there is. It's a very interesting time. A year ago, we would have been having a completely different discussion, and I think there was a lot of uncertainty when it came to conditions such as with carbon, with pricing, with stability, and in this last year, I think as that's transitioned, there's been more clarity. With it has become investment. This region also just recently was accredited an A in terms of biomass potential. So there is approximately 400 to 450,000 tons of forest residuals that is also within this area. So we're getting a lot of inquiries on the straight biomass play. We're having companies look at, you know, can they not take the syngas that's developed by these cogen facilities? So we're getting, it's a really, really interesting time, a period when you add in all the technology around carbon, and it's exciting times.
Maybe to wrap up our interview, Kyle, can you look out 2 to 5 years for your industrial park and tell us what you expect to happen in that time period?
Yeah, so in that 2 to 5 year time period, I would hope We would be planning on IFS being almost halfway, 60-70% through the completion of their phase one. They do have plans for multiple phases. And that is what is also interesting of this. So it's about natural gas supply. And then we would continue to be developing in coordination with NPC and Surleon and continuing to kind of see how the gig evolves. Do we need to possibly acquire more land and then make sure that we are coordinating this? Companies, they want security, and they get that security with investments in the gig. They understand that they're having an approved transportation. They understand that they get rail. They understand that they have a water coordination. They understand they have a land use. So you're really talking about a designated industrial zone here. So it's doing everything we can to try and help, try and coordinate more exciting developments that we're seeing.
I do have one final question for you. I interview startups all over the world, and one of the things that's become apparent in the last 3 years, particularly, is the importance of low-cost, clean electricity. And I'm wondering if because these are basically low-emission fuels projects, what are the companies telling you about the importance of low-cost, clean electricity to their operations and their decision to site themselves in your industrial park?
So fortunately, we do have an ACO 144 kV line that runs right through the gig for initial hookup in terms of construction. But it is something that we're very interested in, and it's something that was highlighted, not even a month ago. And in our region, there needs to be more electrical production. We have completed a lot of the analysis on availability of processed water to support development such as that. And we would really like to see a localized solution where you're taking that natural gas and you're processing it into electricity right at that source. And it becomes availability. It also opens up new doors of do you use that production for the whole entire facility of the gig? Do you incorporate that into the CCS? And do we really, really try and bring this footprint down, which was the goal of this?
So if my takeaway from your comment is that low cost, low emission electricity is really important. How that gets generated locally is still up for debate.
Correct. It very much is. However, there is the necessary capacity on the main line to initiate developments within the gig.
Well, Kyle, thank you very much. It's been a fascinating interview.
Thank you very much for your time. Have a great day.